A new statement from Boeing indicates the company knew about a problem with its 737 MAX aircraft for a year before the October crash in Indonesia. Joining us with more on this, Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan with the latest. And I know that the statement from Boeing tries to clarify, but is it having an impact?
Yeah, Adam, I just want to go through what Boeing is saying here. And actually, you mentioned a year. By my calculations and by going through this statement, I think it's well over a year, if not 13, 14, 15 months that Boeing knew that this was an issue. Now, when I say Boeing knew, what I mean is what they're saying, what Boeing is saying is that its engineers knew several months after these MAX 737-8s started being delivered to their customers. They say that the engineers internally knew that there was a software issue with the angle of attack indicator and the angle of attack disagreement light. That's a light that goes on in the cockpit for the pilots to gauge whether there's an issue. Now, that light was inoperable if customers did not choose the indicator as a feature that they wanted installed on the aircraft. Now, just to put this timeline into context here, these deliveries of the planes, those began in May 17th of 2017. By mid-August 2017, that's when Boeing is saying that engineers knew of this software issue. So again, putting that about 13, 14, 15 months before the Lion Air crash. That was on October 29th of 2018. In the aftermath of the crash, that's when Boeing is saying that finally not only engineers knew about this problem, but senior management became, they say, aware, quote, of the issue. About a week after the Lion Air crash, that's when Boeing issued what they call an operations manual bulletin. A day later, followed by the FAA, they go ahead and they issue an airworthiness directive. And then in December, about a month later, Boeing conducts another review. It's called a safety review board. And at that time, Boeing is sharing again with the FAA its conclusions. And Adam, its conclusions were that none of these features, this software, would affect the safety of the aircraft. Boeing has repeatedly said that neither of these features, meant to be safety features, by the way, that neither of them are really needed to safely operate the planes.
Okay, we're going to keep talking about this, Alexis. Thank you. And joining us to do that is Yahoo Finance's Sibile Marcellus. I mean, Boeing stock, it's down today, but year to date, it's been up. And as was pointed out recently, the order book hasn't suffered just yet. This doesn't look good, but the big picture, would you agree that they still have not taken a massive hit because of this?
Yes, I mean, the Boeing stock remains resilient. It's a Dow leader. I did look into how the stock is doing compared to this time last year, and it is down 8%. So there you're seeing a little bit of the effect of the crashes and the criminal probe going on with the company. But when it comes to the 737 MAX, Boeing wants to move forward. They want to get those planes off the ground again and flying. And to do that, they're going to need regulatory approvals around the world. And this is just showing that they consistently have not been open with FAA regulators and with airlines in terms of the safety that they knew was an issue and didn't speak out to customers.
Yeah, I think just following up on just Sabile's point on just resilience of the stock, like we talked about on top of the show, I think the stock is still trading on that backlog, so you're not getting a lot of cancellations. I think investors have to keep an eye on the summer air show. It's where a lot of orders get placed between Boeing and an Airbus. That's going to be a key event. And two, more broadly, how long does Muhlenberg, our CEO Dennis Muhlenberg, still have in this job is a very key consideration whether to stay invested in the company.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of chatter about that yet. I also wonder on the regulatory side, we have seen some chatter from Congress, some oversight questions about FAA, and you have to think that that is also just going to continue, especially now that it seems like not only were there some reporting problems on the part of Boeing, but perhaps some oversight problems on the part of the FAA.
Absolutely. Who is regulating who at this point? Was Boeing just kind of regulating themselves, or was the FAA doing their job? And there are also questions, were they even qualified? So there's also questions there with the FAA.
There's another issue, and if we have time, can we pull up, if we still have the airline stocks and how they're performing today? Because, Brian, I'm curious, the airlines that got hit by this, not all of them fly the 737 MAX, but American does, Southwest does, they're going to be made whole. But that's going to be a legal battle with Boeing, isn't it? Because they've had to ground these aircraft, and they've taken a hit, as we're seeing.
Yes. And to your point, this is a start, I think, just of a higher cost of doing business for Boeing. Boeing, for the past few years before this event, has had it made. They've been dumping a lot into share repurchases. They've been doing a lot of interviews. Things were great. But I think for them, now their costs of doing business are going to go up pretty significantly. And that is not just factored into the stock. It's not factored into Wall Street profit estimates. And it really needs to be.